Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Agent Wealth Success. And you know what we do here. We help real estate agents and really people from across America and North America to include even Canada. In fact, we have a very special guest today that I'll introduce to you in a minute. But we help people to really become their greatest possibility. And so today you are going to absolutely love my guest, Neil D'Souza. And Neil is in Canada. He is a wealthy man and he buys mortgages, has all kinds of different types of investments. And but his passion actually is to help like young youth to really understand on how to be a leader and how to take that to wealth. And so with that, Neil, we welcome you to the show. And man, tell us more about this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I do all those things, and with regards to the passion, I'm guessing that's the question. Can tell you a little bit about the helping youth. Is that what you'd like me to answer?
Sure. Or, maybe what is that whole strategy on
Yeah,
leadership? Just tell us
yeah,
about leadership,
yeah,
even though it's for you,
yeah,
it's for all of us. And
yeah.
like I tell people that I teach 115 books, and on my teachings that they just don't teach this in
Yes,
school. And no
yeah,
matter how much you education you have, and I have my PhD in mental science, that I never got any of that there. And that's what I love about you, is that you really are understanding on leadership and then leading to wealth, because wealth is a
right.
very good thing and gives us more choices and selection, and is what I call a divine loving energy from
Yeah,
all that is. And
yeah,
so tell us, how can we take
yeah.
leadership to wealth?
Well, for starters, I should say I have a PhD in mad science, but
Awesome.
but I have a podcast called the Leadership to Wealth podcast,
Okay.
and I started it out of the pandemic. Quite honestly,
Right.
one of the things, I was on social media and just providing value, right? Talking about real estate, talking about mortgage investments, property acquisitions, real estate, right?
Yeah.
And then in March of last year, of course, everything went crazy, and I actually got a lot of people that started following me, and people were in a very disempowered context, right?
Mm,
Not knowing what to do, not knowing how they were going to survive. Obviously, everyone was afraid, but then on top of that, what do we do for money?
mm,
And so on social media, I had a lot of people asking me these questions, and so I
mm.
actually put it out there to people and said, "Hey, start something now." I'm old enough that I was through, I've been through a few recessions, but I was through 2007, 2008,
Yeah.
and the crash there. And when this happened last year, I was like, guys, great opportunity. Now's the time.
Yeah.
I've been through this before, and I just started talking about that. And people are like, well, what do we do? How do
Yeah.
we do this? And I said, well, start a podcast. It costs nothing. You've got Zoom. You can meet people and provide value. Well,
Yeah.
how do I do that? And so I said, okay, you know what? I'll start a podcast and I'm going to show you guys. And so I started, and I thought, what do I call it?
Mm,
And I thought, well, at the end of the day, it's about taking leadership in your own life that leads to wealth. And it can be wealth in whichever area resonates for you, whether it's finances, whether it's family, whether it's fitness, whether it's faith,
yeah.
right? any of
Beautiful.
those areas. And it always starts with the leadership that you take in your own life. And I would say that the reason that it really resonates with me is where I come from. Grew up in the hood, not much for mentorship, and so the opportunity to be able to provide that, to provide my decades of learning as a father, as a husband, as a businessman, being able to provide that out, and it's just been an amazing journey to be able to share that message with people.
That's awesome. And that's where, for people to understand that wherever you were in your past, like you shared with us, Neil, you came from the hood, and my son-in-law, I came from the hood in Atlanta, and basically, most people were on welfare. Nobody was getting education, and just a couple of people, and especially one teacher, just put faith in him and said, you're really smart. You could really do this. You can make something of yourself. And he ended up graduating from law school and getting a job with an international law firm and making like, 160 grand a year or whatever, starting, pay that. And so it's these things of contrast that really take us. So for all of you out there that have said, hey, my past has been tough, whether it's the last 2 years or your upbringing or whatever, it's actually the magical moment now. This has blessed you. These are all blessings in the past, because it really helps to inspire you and to take that inspiration and then tell us, Neil, how do we take that inspiration of, okay, I know what I don't want, all those things in the past, and what do I want? And wow, I want wealth. And so what kind of leadership, what are you teaching on leadership to wealth that would be most helpful to our viewers today?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So on the show, for the most part, I am interviewing lots of great individuals that have really, displayed leadership in their own life. They're sharing their own stories, and so we're really looking at a ground level. Hey, what happened with you? And so I can share for myself, having, coming from where I've come from.
Yeah.
One of the things that I share with people that it sounds really crazy, but growing up in the hood and trying to, at that point in time, there was no Obama in office. Honestly, the highest position that I saw for someone of my skin color, which I dealt with a lot of racism back in the day, and and so the highest position I saw for anyone was was different jobs, and I thought maybe I could be a police officer. But then I thought, how am I going to become a police officer? I don't even know what you got to do to become a police officer, and the vast majority of them are of fair complexion, and I probably don't fit in there. And so, not realizing I also had reverse racism. Right now, I was turning that back against my brothers. And so what I and this is the part that I tell people, at that point in my life, I was in a gang, and what made sense to me as a teenager was, well, I want to make money. How am I going to do that? Well, here are these guys, and they're drug dealers. And I'm like, well, they make money, and if we remove them, then we can take it over and we can make money. Now, I use the word remove, but you and I know what word that really is.
Wow.
And that made sense to me at the time.
Wow.
Because it's all I knew.
Yeah.
And so what I realized was I didn't know how to do. There was no mentorship for, can you lead me in a different way? Can you point to me in a different way? And then, and this is where I say there was divine intervention. I'll tell you a story that's inspiring to me now.
Yeah,
Was
really.
crazy at the time.
Mm.
There was an individual that was coming to show up to help sell me items that would help to remove these individuals, if you know what I'm saying. He had a trunk full of them, and
Wow.
he didn't show up. He didn't show up, and so hey, what's going on? We're gonna have to deal with this guy. And that night, I had a part-time job. I went to that part-time job, and I was a waiter on the side. So,
Yeah.
and while I was waiting a table, there were four gentlemen, and one of the gentlemen, I'll give a shout out. His name's Brendan Blair. Brendan, here's a shout out. He said, "Hey, I've got this business opportunity that I think you're a really sharp guy. I'd love to talk to you about it."
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So that night, I called up the boys and I said, "Guys, we got to still find this guy, but in the meantime, I may actually have a legal opportunity." And they were like, "Okay." I said, "I'll go check it out. Don't worry. We got to find this guy with the guns, anyways, the removal devices." And 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 so I checked that out, and you know what? It took me in a totally different direction. I started
Wow.
learning about business.
Wow.
I started getting mentoring and mentorship, and
Wow.
I went down that road. And I kid you not, I ended up meeting 2 years later that the individual that was supposed to show up. And
Wow.
I'm on a completely different trajectory.
Right.
And I meet him and I said, "Hey, how are you doing? What happened? You never showed." And he said, "On my way to meet you, I got pulled over." And they found the removal devices in the trunk. And he had just finished doing 2 years.
Wow. What a fascinating story. I
Yeah,
just love that. And this was in Canada?
this is in Canada. Yeah, yeah,
You know,
the
I
land
always
of
think
the land
Canada.
of igloos and Tim
Yeah,
Hortons.
right. I always think of Canada as, oh, those sweet
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
They're all just trying to keep warm.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No,
goodness.
we have rough parts even in
Sure,
Canada.
sure. Yeah, that.
So
Wow, that is just incredible. So, can you share with us on so what would I do if I'm just looking for, I want more
yeah,
that and so one step certainly would be to go to attend your podcast and Leadership to Wealth, and it'll talk about that with individuals that you interview there. And what's something else that we could do to really move us? Yeah.
five.
Five.
They say that show me your top five relationships, five
Mm.
closest relationships, and I'll show you your net worth. I guarantee you, I guarantee you, I guarantee you that if you surround yourself with five people that are in the place that you want to be, and if that's your faith community, if that's fitness, if that's family, if that's finances, you put yourself around five people where you want to be in their situation. And it is, by osmosis, it will happen. So part of the reason that I tell people to start a podcast, because you're immediately able to start providing value to people in a different demographic. You're saying to me, "I don't know how do I meet millionaires and multimillionaires?" Well, you
Right.
know what? People are willing to share a message if you're providing value.
Yeah.
Start a podcast and people will come on the show.
Yeah.
Reach out to me. I'll help you get
Exactly.
people on the
Exactly.
show.
I was going to
you
say,
know,
why don't we
you know,
we both offer ourselves and we'll be,
yeah.
interviewed, and we're both independently
Absolutely.
wealthy, and that, hey, to be able to do that. So that's great. So I love
Yeah.
that I watch your podcast, start a podcast. Again, you just do it on Zoom, and
Yeah.
I do, and it's not too much per month, but we do StreamYard, and the reason why I do that is because it's then recorded live on both YouTube and Facebook, so you get that exposure, there, and you'll be amazed. In fact, I have it really is one of the principles of life is that whatever you're thinking about, that you're going to get more of it. And so it's what I call a vibration within you. And so I'm very tender, if you will, to angels. And so I started, I don't know, a few months back or earlier this year, because of the pandemic also, a Facebook page called Angel Connections. And right now, it really is just astounding. Like this morning, I had 8 people wanting to join from around the world. I haven't done any advertising on this, nothing. I just, when my angels talk to me, I just put it out there on Angel Connections, and it has provided a lot of comfort, guidance, love, support to people. And it's like, how great is that? And just that feeling makes you feel good. And don't worry, the money will follow. And then when you're doing your passion and when you're sharing it, and it could be about anything. In fact, before the show, we talked about whether I was a painter or not, because of the original paintings I have behind me. And no, I'm not, but I had someone who was just kind of fed up with life and whatever. And I said, look, I want you to find your passion. What do you love? And so they love painting. And I shared with them, just do a Facebook page and show people your paintings, and that people will come. And it's kind of like build it and they'll come. And I love that program, that movie, whatever, on
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. And so so I think what we're saying here, Neil, is let's each one of us have a field of dreams that we can build. We have the ability to do it. And again, where to get those ideas is through this Leadership Through Wealth podcast, your podcast, that it actually reminds me of this, and this is how powerful your show is, Neil, is that because I'm a mental scientist, I'm kind of up to speed on this stuff, that we have 60,000 thoughts a day. Out of those 60,000 thoughts, 80% of those thoughts are what's called, what most people would say, negative. I call them unwanted thoughts. So if I'm 80% of the time thinking about unwanted thoughts, what am I going to attract in my life? More unwanted than wanted. But here's the kicker, and where really you come in, Neil, is 95% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday. And so when you were, which means I get the same tomorrows, okay, and because thoughts create things. And so just like with you, that, hey, you just, whatever thoughts, came, your option was, hey, I'm going to join a gang. This is maybe, I'll get some momentum, something going. And then we found out a way on, hey, I looked at those guys making money. We'll get rid of those guys and we'll make the money. And, but you had just that one thought, that one person that you had attracted. You had actually attracted that because you were thinking, hey, I want something, okay, and you weren't necessarily saying legal or illegal. It's just, give me the money, if you will. And so because of that one thought of yours, you attracted that individual that then helped you to go and literally become independently wealthy and have wealth and be able to give back and be able to give back to the youth. So you are our angel, Neil. Just tremendous, because you're giving us those new ideas, that And instead of 95% of the same ideas, that, hey, if we can take that 5% and take it to 20%, which your show can do, that that you'll be amazed, because just one thought led you to the success that you have. That just think on all the thoughts that you can bless people with. So fantastic.
Yeah.
But listen, we're almost out of time here, but can you share with us on, what would be something, parting comments, some thoughts that you just would like to bless all of us with?
Ooh, what I would say, or what I'd share in parting, is a lot of people always ask me, and they're like, well, I'm not excited about what I'm doing, or I'm, how do I do that? Or, there's a world of confusion out there. And, or I don't have the energy, or I don't have the motivation, or I don't have the confidence. And what I offer is, instead, consider what you're committed to. What are you committed to in life? And what is that? And usually there is something in there that, when you realize what you're actually committed to, it inspires you. How do you do that? How do we build that? Because I don't work. I tell people I don't work. I play. Yeah. And as a result, I will outwork you any day of the week, right? Because there is an endless supply of energy when you're playing, when you're doing what you're committed to in life, what actually brings that fire out. And it's not always, sometimes people are looking for the perfect thing that embodies everything. And I say, no, sometimes there is this aspect that you're committed to and you're inspired by. And maybe you end up finding a partner or something that fills in the other part. But I love what you said about the field of dreams. Because one of the things that I've realized that really is a strength of mine is I can build the field, and then let the baseball team come and play, and let them create, right? And so I've learned that one of my strengths, I acknowledge this to myself, is I can build those structures for people to be creative. And I think for many people, just that aspect of what am I committed to and acknowledging it makes you. Many people are scared to acknowledge what they're committed to. But if you acknowledge it and really tell your brain, here's the part, tell your brain, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Tell your brain, no, this is what I am, a juggernaut. I will run through walls. Walls don't stop me. I just lower my head. I go right through them. And I know myself that way, and I can acknowledge myself that way. And as a result, every time those unwanted thoughts come in,
there you go,
they come up against my acknowledgments, what I actually accept on who I am. And with the force of my commitment behind those acknowledgments,
inspiration.
They don't stand a chance.
Exactly.
They stand no chance, right? And so because then all of a sudden my brain has something else to think about, rather than just the unwanted thoughts. Oh, hang on a second, I'm this, I'm that. And I've acknowledged those things. And so that's beautiful. That's something I share.
And and I want to share with our audience too that both of us are ordained ministers, which is just, we attracted each other, if you will. And so that's just another beautiful thing. That inspiration you talked about in spirit, it's just all a God thing, if you will. And just one last comment that I'd like to do is we typically want to figure out the how. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
gee, I wanted to be a police officer, but I didn't know how. And so then typically what we do is we give up. And if we'll leave the how to God, if you will,
Mhm.
and if we just think about what we want and why we want it, so what and why, that the how will be filled in from your higher power, from all that is that, but you just need to have faith that it will, because
Mhm.
again, you and I didn't have the answers, that we didn't know the how, but we got that inspiration, and that led us then to the different answers, to where now, you're happily
Yeah.
married and you got 4
Yeah.
kids and have this,
Yeah.
magnificent business, and so life is
Yeah.
grand. And Neil, you're making our lives grander, and you made our lives grander because of this. So with that, any last comment before we leave, sir?
Well, could I just say one last thing about what you were just sharing there?
Absolutely.
So what I've found is that, for, I'm going to say a poor class mindset says, I can't do it.
Yeah.
A middle class mindset says, how do I do it? And in that, they use up time trying to figure out the how, right?
Yeah.
And then a rich mindset, an open mindset says, who can bring me there? Who can help me there? And which is why I started off with get around 5 people in that area that you want, because immediately they will help shorten your gap.
Yeah.
That mentorship, I know you teach people, real estate professionals, how to expand their business 400 times.
Right.
And you know what? That's not by knowing the how, it's by getting around you, and you're the who. And that shortens. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going down the how road, but
Right.
I just say that it burns your time, as opposed to get around the who, and they'll shorten that learning gap and
I
help
love
you.
it.
So thank you for having me on.
You bet, Neil. Well, Neil, thank you so much again, everybody. Leadership to Wealth, that podcast. Go Google it; you'll find it there. Neil is, and how often you run that show?
Oh, usually we're at least once a week. Every now
Yeah.
and then we get a treat, and we might share 2 interviews, but normally we're weekly.
That's fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
Thanks for blessing us, Neil. You're
All right.
amazing. And you
Thank
have a
you.
great day. And everybody, thank you so much. And know that
Thank you.
what you want to be, do, and have, you can be, do, and have it. That it's just all a matter of that inspiration. And just ask, and you will be given the answers that will guide you to your lighted path. All the best. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.